I'm sure there's a lot to unpack here. I have a lot of questions, but you've been there for almost a year and a half now. And, the better part of, 30 or 40% of that time spent has been in this odd market of 2020, double black swan. How are companies really looking at technology and solutions that Nvidia provides? Are you seeing a lot of movement in the E&P space? I think you said that you guys are predominantly focused on the upstream sector of oil and gas. Are these oil companies really looking for new technological solutions that can help streamline and save costs?
Absolutely. It's all about saving costs at this point, right?
Yeah.
Getting more oil out of the ground at $50 a barrel is important, right? To keep the top line, but ultimately the profitability is going to be from how we help them save cost.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really over the last year and a half, I've focused on really sustaining the current business in upstream, right? How do we continue to support our customers with our next generation of products and our platforms for seismic processing and interpretation? But then how do we transition the industry into leveraging artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning to do what couldn't be done before, right? The technology's evolved in such a way that helping the industry to take all of the knowledge that they've accumulated throughout the years and all the decisions that they've made and train AI models to make those decisions proactively can introduce great cost savings. People are still afraid of it, right? Kind of like autonomous cars, right? People think it's a great idea, but then they're nervous by it. But ultimately, they're making decisions based on previous decisions. And ultimately, there's still a human in the loop, right? So it's, once again, if you could run 100 scenarios in the time that you would normally do 3, and now you can take those 100 scenarios and reduce them down to 3 and look at only those 3, once again, you can save considerable amount of time, because in the past, you only had time to look at 3.
Yeah.
Now you can look at a lot more data a lot faster and narrow it down based on previous decisions and historical data.
Yeah.
And make better decisions.
Absolutely.
Are you guys going directly to the E&Ps and actually selling these?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Sure.
What's your service like? Because I know there's startups out there, like Novi Labs or Subsurface IO that, that's their pitch right there, is that, enabling engineers to do more with artificial intelligence, just, hey, we can give you 100 models instead of 3, and then you can make better decisions. When you guys go to E&Ps, are you actually selling these services of artificial intelligence and data insight, or are you guys just selling the computing power for it?
To be honest, we don't sell anything directly to customers. Everything is sold through partners, right? So that's probably the biggest misconception of Nvidia as a company. So, at the end of the day, we make a piece of silicon, right, called a GPU.
Yeah.
But even more importantly is we have this tremendous software stack, right, and platform stack that basically is available online. People can download it. People can leverage it, whether they be startups, whether they be enterprise software companies, or whether they be end user companies. And so basically our job at Nvidia is really technology enablement. So we go and talk about what we have, and then it's always delivered through partners. So it could be a startup that's basically doing AI that delivers a solution that requires a GPU to get the performance that they need.
Mm-hmm.
It's potentially a large ISV. It's a cloud. All of the major clouds have NVIDIA GPUs. They're our largest customers. So from an NVIDIA perspective, we're really about how do we help people do their job or do science better and faster.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they're going to need the silicon to get there.
Yeah.
And so when we go talk with a customer, we try to understand what problem they're trying to solve. So find a problem, solve a problem, build a business, right? And that build a business is typically through a partner ecosystem. So we'll go in, we'll talk to them about what they're trying to solve, which algorithms they're trying to develop, and then we determine can these algorithms be parallelized, right? That's the value of a GPU, as opposed to having 4 cores, 20 cores, 60 cores on a CPU. A GPU now, our highest end GPUs have almost 10,000 cores, right?
Jeez.
So once again, they're not as fast as a single core on a CPU, but once again, if you have 10,000 pickup trucks or one moving truck, chances are you can move more stuff with 10,000 pickup trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And so ultimately what we find is that if we can parallelize the problem And AI is a perfect example of highly parallelized problems. We can crunch data faster than anybody. So once again, we work with startups all the time. We've got an inception program with over 7,000 startups. And basically, our job is to enable them to be successful. We give them access to our technology, access to developers and technicians that can basically help them optimize their code. And basically, our job is to make them successful. If they're successful, somebody's going to deploy on the cloud and use a GPU. They're going to deploy on-prem from Dell or HP or Lenovo, and they're going to use a GPU.
So on that topic, so if there's startups that are building something that's very, very compute heavy, they can just reach out to you. Yeah. You'll plug them into the ecosystem. You guys have resources for them to enable them to just build it even faster.
Let's talk about that a little bit. This incentive program that you guys have for the startups. If we have a startup that's listening and they're interested in this, what's the process to doing that? I mean, is it as easy as signing up for an account and starting to build on the Nvidia platform? Mm-hmm. Do they have to go through an application process?
There is an application process, but everybody's accepted. It's called our Inception program, and there's a variety of different training that's available to them or developer tools. They can have access to engineers. The great part about my team, Energy Team, is we've got 25 plus people on the team right now. And these folks come from industry, right? So they come from all the major operators, service companies, or large software companies. And so they've seen those problems, and they're very technical and can help. And so we spend a lot of time helping those folks to be successful, and then we promote them, right, through webinars or our GTC conference or other conferences as well.